Hi everyone, Anita here. Today I want to share with you a little about the gallbladder. It's an organ that is often removed from our bodies, and we're not always told or advised how we can best go about supporting it once it has been removed. So I want to share with you today the role of the gallbladder when it's removed, what that does to the body, and how we can support it so that we still get maximum use of what it's intended to do. So I want to jump off straight away and show an image to you, just so that we can position exactly where the gallbladder is in the body. So you'll see it's this little green thing here, which looks a little like a pear, and it is connected via bile ducts to our liver. And in fact, it's the liver that actually makes the bile. And the gallbladder is really just a storage area or a sac, which is where all of the bile is stored. And so you can understand why it is viewed that a storage area of bile is not necessarily a vital organ, because the liver is still continuing to produce bile. But you'll hopefully see as I share with you the importance of the gallbladder. So let's just hop back here. Right, so bile is made up of, it's made up of water, bile salts, cholesterol, and bilirubin. And the liver manufactures it and stores it in the gallbladder. And it is only released when a specific hormone called cholecystokinin, CCK for short, is triggered by food that's coming out of the stomach, and that food has been mixed with stomach acid. And when it comes out of the stomach and the stomach acid, it's actually almost like a blended version of food, so it's quite liquid. And when the stomach senses that there's an adequate amount of stomach acid and it's been blended down correctly, it will then trigger the release of this hormone, which then triggers the release of bile from the gallbladder. And what the gallbladder will do is it activates a little muscle, and the muscle will pump it, and it will start to spurt bile into the small intestine where the food has now moved into. And the reason we have bile in the first place is that it's there to emulsify the fats that we are taking in. So when we consider let's take, for example, a salad dressing. So if you're making a salad dressing and you want to mix together oil and you want to mix together vinegar, and you combine the two and you mix it, they don't mix together very well. So you generally then add a third ingredient, which is your emulsifier, which in the case of salad dressing can be something like honey or mustard. And when you add that together, what happens is that the oil and the vinegar then start to combine. And in the same instance, this is exactly what happens with bile. So it doesn't break or dissolve the fat down, but what it does is if there's a large fat globule that is coming down in your food, the bile will emulsify it and break that up into many, many little small fat molecules, so that the enzymes that break down fat are able to gain access to it. And when they gain access to it, they're then able to break it down even further so that our bodies are able to absorb it. So there's an old saying that goes, you are what you eat. And that's not entirely true. And I'd like to reframe that and say you are what your body is able to absorb. So you might be eating the best food in the world. You might be eating really good fats. But if your body is unable to break down those fats into smaller little particles so that your enzymes can access it in order to break that down further into smaller particles, you're then not going to be able to absorb the fat correctly. And let's look at where that impacts us. So we have essential fats, which are the omega-3s and the omega-6. And the word essential in front of it basically means that we have to get it from outside of the body. In other words, we have to get it from food. Our body is not able to manufacture omega-3 or omega-6 from any biochemical process with other food substances or other particles in our body. It's not able to actually manufacture that. So we have to get that from food. The other area it impacts us is that 4 of the 6 vitamins that we intake, so vitamin A, vitamin D, vitamin E, vitamin K, are all fat-soluble vitamins. And so if our bodies are unable to break down fat and utilize fat and absorb fat, then we're not going to be able to break down and utilize those vitamins. And initially, your body may have enough stores and enough reserve, and it may be getting small amounts of it that you're not going to notice a depletion. But over time, you will end up getting depleted in those specific nutrients that your body needs. Vitamins are also external, are foods that we need to take in externally in order to get those correct nutrients from it. And if you've had no gallbladder for some time now, and you might be considering, well, how would I know if I'm not absorbing fats particularly well? One of the ways that you could check is if you look at your bowel movements. Your bowel movements should be dark brown in color. They should be easy to pass. You should have one regular bowel movement every single day, one complete bowel movement. If your bowel movements are more towards the diarrhea as in looser side, if your bowel movements are lighter in color than a medium brown, if your stools float in the toilet bowl once you have been to the loo, and if there's a bit of oiliness in the toilet bowl or floating on the top of the water, then it is an indicator that you are not absorbing fats correctly. And something that I see fairly often in my practice is that a lot of individuals, there's been a lot of awareness raised about the importance of vitamin D. And one of the tests that I will do with my clients is to check what their vitamin D levels are like, because it plays into so many different parts of creating good health in the body. And with a lot of individuals, they will take a vitamin D supplement or tell me that they're on a vitamin D supplement. Yet when I have a look at their vitamin D blood tests, it's extremely low. So they're not actually absorbing the vitamin D, even though they are taking it in. And often it's those particular individuals that have had their gallbladder removed and have had it removed for some time and will often say to me, I don't notice any difference not having a gallbladder. Well, some of the other symptoms that you're not tying directly to your gallbladder could be linked to the fact that you are low in essential fats. So what do we do for an individual who's had their gallbladder removed? It's essential that you support the body in adding bile acid salts in order to gain the benefit of having bile. So when your gallbladder has been removed, what happens is that bile is still produced because it's made in your liver, but the bile is dripped slowly all the time into your small intestine. So it's not matched to the amount of fats that you're taking in your diet, which is what it normally would be if you had a gallbladder. So there's just a continual small drip of bile continually going into your small intestine. And you then need support in order to be able to take in and digest and utilize the fats that you're taking in at the other 3 meals. So one of the supplements that you can take is it's a product by Jarrow, or you can get a prescription from your doctor, and it's bile acid salts that you're looking for. Jarrow I've only purchased it's online before, and you can look at a site called, I think it's iherb.com, and it contains, you would take one tablet at each meal. and each tablet contains 1,000 milligrams of bile acid salts, and that will help to release bile when you're having your meal and assist you in breaking down the fats that you're having at your meal. There is a health shop supplement made by Solgar, which is digestive enzymes, which contains a very small amount of bile acid salts in there. I think it contains about 130 milligrams. So you can see there's a huge variant between 130 milligrams on the Solgar product compared to 1,000 milligrams on the Jarrow product. Go to your health store, ask the people that work there if there are any other bile acid salts that they can recommend. And generally they are ox bile acids. So if you are vegan or vegetarian, it may be something that you want to reconsider. I don't actually know what the alternative is, but if there's anyone out there that is vegan and wanting to supplement, drop me a message and I will investigate a little further for you. So what causes the bile or gallstones to be formed in the gallbladder that then triggers us to want to go and have it removed because of the pain that is being caused? So the gallbladder is really like a victim, because the bile is manufactured in the liver, and so it's really what is happening with the liver that is causing the bile to become thick and sludgy and starting to cause problems when it is stored in the gallbladder. What happens is that when it's thick and sludgy, it starts to form little crystals. And those crystals are generally formed by cholesterol. And what happens is that the crystals then start to get larger and larger and eventually form gallstones. And obviously a huge amount of pain with that. What some individuals, kind of as an aside, if you have still got your gallbladder, but you've got a little bit of gallbladder pain, which would be top right, just underneath your rib cage, where you're on the right-hand side where your liver is, your gallbladder is a little lower down. If you find that you're eating a fatty meal and you're starting to get a bit of a pain there or an ache, it may be a sign that your gallbladder is starting to get thick and sludgy. And if you hop onto Google and you do a Google search, one of the things that you're likely to come up with is a recommendation to do a gallbladder cleanse, which is to drink, I think it's a certain amount of olive oil. Please, please, please don't do that unless you want to put yourself in a whole load of pain. What happens is that if you already have pain from gallbladder and you're taking in a large amount of olive oil, what will happen is that the gallbladder, the muscle is going to start squirting that out. And if there's a blockage or there's a lot of sludge there, you're going to go into a tremendous amount of pain. So please don't do that. Having small amounts of olive oil in your food, cooking your food or adding it to salad dressings is absolutely fine. But I think that there are remedies on the internet that says drink, X mils of olive oil because it will clear your gallbladder. It won't be pleasant. So I really don't advise you to do that. For those people who have got sensitive gallbladders and a pending problem, there is a natural supplement that has been clinically tested on humans, not just rats, and it's called D-limonene. And D-limonene is an incredible product. It's an extract from citrus fruits. And if you can think of your detergents that you use to wash up your dishes, most of them have got some kind of an extract of citrus in it, and it's for that very reason. It's like a detergent and it just cuts through things. So D-limonene you can take on a daily basis for a month or up to 2 to 3 months. I have a clinical study. If anyone is interested, I can post that. And I think if I recall correctly, the success rate on the clinical study was well over 60%, which is higher than most medications even test at. So if you've got a gallbladder pending, rather take D-limonene. and take it for a month, 2 to 3 months. But then what you need to do is you must get back to addressing the root cause of why you had this in the first place. So as I said earlier, the gallbladder can be a victim of something that is going wrong or something that is not functioning correctly in the liver. The liver produces the bile, and what causes the bile to start turning thick and sludgy and is when the liver goes under stress. So if you are eating high amounts of sugar, if you are eating processed foods, if you are eating refined carbohydrates, if you're having alcohol every single day, large amounts of alcohol every single day, if you have got high stress that you're not managing, all of these contribute to putting an additional load on the liver. So start looking at reducing some of those areas, specifically refined carbs, sugars. You need to start moving away from that, as well as having foods that oxidized fats have been used. And so oxidized fats are fats that you would typically find that fried foods are made in. So if you're eating any vegetable oils or seed oils, cut that out of your diet and replace that rather with a coconut oil or an olive oil or butter or ghee, because those oils are less likely to be oxidized. When an oil is oxidized, it causes inflammation in the body. And an oil can be oxidized due to many things. But one of the reasons why oils can be oxidized is due to high heat. And even if you're cooking with a good oil like an olive oil and you are cooking that at a very high heat, that can still be oxidized. So if you are eating takeaways and you're eating out a lot at restaurants, chances are that the oils that they're using are going to be seed oils, and that they may be using them at higher than the allowable temperatures, and that they use them and reuse them and reuse them. And the oils are oxidized, they then become inflammatory, and it's just one more load that your liver has to deal with. So although you may have your gallbladder totally removed, it doesn't mean that the problem is going to go away totally. What you need to do is support the liver by taking a bile acid supplement, and also address your diet and address what is happening to your liver. Because if you don't do that, you will just in time cause another downstream problem, which will manifest in another symptom somewhere linked to your gastrointestinal system. So I hope that some of that information has been useful and you are able to get some value from it. If you have got any questions, just pop them down in the message box and I will try and get back to you. And enjoy the rest of your weekend. Cheers, everyone. Bye.